Hi everyone, and welcome to what I'm prepping today. So I'm not sure I could really call this prepping, but today I'm doing some projects that I've been putting off because I'm outside gardening and doing other things. So I showed you before how I make my little tea filing cabinets, and I use the Bigelow boxes. When I first started buying a lot of different teas, I had all these tea boxes in my cupboard and it looked terrible. So I went to some tea companies. Yes, those exist. And I even went to the Container Store where they have boxes that would fit tea bags. But I didn't want to pay $30 for a box to hold tea, especially when I would have needed 5. So that's how many of these I have in my cupboard. If you only buy a couple things of tea, you don't have a lot, you don't want the cardboard, that's not bad. But we prep tea, so I put my tea bags in Mylar and then put those in buckets, and I've showed you that many times. But I get these large Bigelow premium green tea, 100% organic, 176 tea bags in this nice big box, and I get that at Sam's Club. So since they put it in a nice box like this, I thought, well, that's great. I'm keeping this to store my other teas in. And what works out perfectly for me is that I have a cupboard that they fit perfectly into. This shelf is my herbal shelf, medicine shelf, and it has my, little teapot back there. And this is where the other 2 boxes go. So I really like that they fit perfectly in that cupboard. That just worked out. So what I do, because these are kind of rather flimsy, I take just a box and I cut that piece off, but generally I just tuck the rest of it in and then it fits right there. Now sometimes that'll interfere with it closing, so I'll just draw a line there and trim that off. And then sometimes, or most of the time, on the sides they don't want to close because of the side and the front, so then I cut both the side and the front off after I make sure it's going to be good fit. I draw that line and I cut that piece off right there, just like that. And then I'm going to cut this section off, or you could just cut the whole flap off. It doesn't really matter. So I cut the whole flap off on mine, and this flap can come off as well. But then I'm going to cut this in half crossways, the box, and I'll show you why. So here's my box cut in half, and the reason I do that is so I can put one side slightly inside the other and then place it in there, because it's strange, but on the end, like in the front and the back, usually a full box will fit. But because on the sides, on the 2 ends, they don't want to fit. So this way it just gives enough of a slideability so it'll kind of self-adjust. So that one's in there, and then I've gone ahead and cut this one right here. So see, that just fits in there very nicely with one having the ability to move a little back and forth. So these are really nice. I really like these, and this is what I'm doing in part of my cleanup project for the kitchen, because I've had these boxes sitting on my countertop in the corner there, and it's really getting bad. So I'll usually buy the tea 6 boxes at a time, and then I save the tea. As you know, when I put things in Mylar, I use 20 bags at a time, and a freeze-dried batch doesn't always allow me to do that. So that's when I'll take tea bags, 12 tea bags out of a box, and then put those in Mylar. Sometimes I'll do 24. Generally, I just like to do 12 at a time because a lot of these, especially these traditional medicinal teas, I end up giving away when somebody's really sick. I don't feel like they need all of my tea. I give them enough to get them a start, and if they like it, then I direct them where to get that, because even at a bulk price, I pay $3 to $3.50 and for each box. So I'm not trying to be cheap. I just figure, you know, when you're sharing with so many people, even if it's your own kids, you help them out, but you teach them to do for themselves as well. And don't get me wrong, somebody needs it, they're getting it, you know, but repeatedly, I don't think that's fair of somebody to continue to ask. And nobody does either. Don't get me wrong. I mean, oh, now look, see? Oh my goodness. Here I go. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I just did cedar blocks to get those out of the way. And right here, and this is what that looks like after it's done. This actually goes right there. So that's how I store my tea, and then I label them on the front. You know, this is an herbal tea. Of course, then this is the one you would have when you're sick. That would be the seasonal sampler and things like that. And then I have one labeled green tea, one's black tea, one's detox medicinal, and sleep tea. So that's it. That's how I store my tea bags. If I could get these made out of that lucite, would be great. I hate cardboard, and I'm leaning towards getting rid of wood in my storage. If I were building, which we are, building our house, everything's going to be concrete. And oh my goodness, we just got another estimate on concrete, and it's, I think, $140 a yard, $7 more per yard if you want the fiber impregnated in it. And I think when we did our sidewalks 3 or 4 years ago, we paid like $80 or $90 a yard. So yeah, these prices are just, they're not even creeping up. They're going up by leaps and bounds. And that contractor company with the concrete, they're adding a $25 fuel charge. And I could understand if this was, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, my company that I worked for had a fuel charge added to every customer, but fuel is so low. Like, shouldn't fuel surcharges not even be a thing anymore? But anyway, it is what it is. You get what you have to. And at this point, I feel like my husband should just buy his own concrete mixing truck. And I hope he doesn't watch this video, because that'll be in our driveway next. So that's it. My little rant, as you know, and I can't just stay on subject. And let me know what you think of this idea. And maybe I just used too much tea. All right. Be blessed, everyone.